Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. A big namaste and welcome to the Test Chat YouTube channel and LinkedIn. We should be live on both. If you can hear my voice and see me, please let me know. Well, we have a little bit of latency, some lag between this and can somebody just confirm if you can see me or and hear me? Okay, I have a yes. So, welcome everyone. I feel really happy and excited about being back on the host's chair at the Test Chat YouTube and LinkedIn channels. And today we are back again with uh, an episode of What Lies Beneath Ask Me Anything. And today with me, as my guest, is Vadim from TestGear. Welcome to the show, Vadim.
Thank you so much, Brijesh, and thanks for having me here. It's a pleasure.
Well, for all my guests, Vadim is the CEO of TestGear, a wonderful test management platform. It's a nice one. I saw a demo first, and then I was trying to sort of play around, and it is quite interesting how a lot of things are done. We will talk about all of those, but I want to say something to the audience that you can ask your questions whenever you feel like, and we will take them as we go along. It's not that I will keep a separate time for the audience questions later. We will include your questions in the middle of the talk as well. So please feel free to ask your questions. And with that said, let's get started. So Vadim, the world is curious. Can you tell us a little more about your background?
Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. So, though I was trained as an IT person, my first degree was in business information systems from the Manchester Metropolitan, from the United Kingdom. I'm not a software developer nor a tester myself, but at the moment I'm a CEO of a test management software vendor, and yeah. Basically, with IT, it has started for me in 2016 when I joined the blockchain scene, and I was in the community development. I was the VP for global engagement for one crypto startup that was developing. It was not a crypto startup; it was more a software startup, but was developing a trading platform for crypto. And I was working there. It was called Crypto Robotics from the Gibraltar, and after that, I've joined. Actually, there was an exciting time. I was building. I was in the startup ecosystem, so I was actually building a city for a tech city for startup companies, for technology companies, and we. I was responsible for bringing new companies and new talents. And we actually had this settlement for 5,000 people there, and we had a university there, we had a free zone there, and yeah, I was again working with a lot of startups, with a lot of IT companies. Was very excited about it, and that's how I actually met TestGear founder, because he came there, and I realized that probably the the whole subject of quality was very interesting for me, and I was eager to get more into IT development, and I thought there is nothing better um, of a startup that is actually creating a tool that helps other IT companies to develop their software, to make it better, to ensure the quality. So that's how I ended up in TestGear team, and now I'm responsible for day-to-day operations. I'm also responsible for sales and marketing of TestGear, and we are developing this platform TestGear, and yeah, you've seen that, and I'm sure we have something to offer to the world, because we have our own stance on how to ensure the quality and how to make all the quality processes within the organization, within the software development, um, more transparent, more collaborative, and more engaging in general.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. But so before I get into test gear and a little more specifics,
Hmm.
I already see a very interesting question, and I cannot skip
Yes.
it, and I don't want to hold it for later. So I'm going to put it here. Jay is asking, and because we are all talking about, and you spoke about, technology and how you have played around with blockchain and trying to build a tech city. So you are a technology man basically. So this is a more apt question for you to begin with. Are technologies like chat gpt, AI in general going to take over testing? What's your take?
Um, um, you know what? Just before I joined this session, I was actually playing with OpenAI, and not just helping, not just playing, but it helps me a lot in my everyday activities, like to prepare a write up on something when you are too busy to do it. So you can always ask OpenAI to make a write up for you, and then you can use it somehow. So actually, I was doing that. Um, but my personal take on that is that I don't think that AI is going to take over testing. And though I've seen a lot of different AI startups throughout my career, and I'm very, very impressed with the latest advancements, and I'm personally using that. And we are like from time to time, not every day, but from time to time, we are thinking about how we could actually implement that, and maybe like having a BDD auto test compiler from the, well, BDD is already like the human language, isn't it? So, but even taking it further and asking the OpenAI or some other tool to create a auto test for you would be an interesting thing. But what I think at the moment, definitely, uh, it needs some guidance. And like personally, I'm never satisfied with the result. Even if I get something from the OpenAI, from the ChatGPT, I'm always changing something at the end. And it's a good tool, it's a useful tool, but as always, AI is not going to take your job. AI, if you are using AI, if you are not using AI, eventually people with AI tools might take over your job. So
Yes.
that's my take on that.
Yes, that is very nicely put, Vadim. AI will not take our jobs. People with AI knowledge will take our jobs.
Absolutely.
That is a more appropriate way of putting it. But since we have been talking about taking over testing, when it comes to testing, one of the key aspects of testing is test management. How do you manage these tests that you have designed? How do you manage these tests that you are going to execute? How are you going to make sure that you pass on the right information that you are collecting through your tests to the relevant stakeholders? These are the kind of questions that come to mind. And when we talk about test management, we are always looking for options as to how do I manage my tests well. Now, the largest test management tool on this planet is Microsoft Excel. Okay, and
That's
because
true.
because more often than not, all of us, if you ask any tester, they would say that some point in life they have used Excel for managing their tests. Okay, whether it is writing your test cases or to build traceability matrix or to build dependency matrix, or do some reporting. Okay, Excel has been a part of everybody's life. But then we have come a long way from Excel. There are tools that help us in doing so, and that's how, because I was constantly looking for tools continuously, and I wanted to see if I can get something more intuitive, something which meets my needs of fitting in my tech ecosystem, uh, gel well with CI/CD tools, and give me that confidence, give me that comfort that I will be able to supply the stakeholders with the relevant information at the end of the day. I stumbled upon TestGear. So
Hmm.
I am curious to learn, how did you come up, or how did the Test Gear founders come up with the idea of Test Gear, and what is the mission vision behind Test Gear?
Absolutely. So the story started in 2018 when our founder, he was working as a QA lead in one of the banks. Um, and he was working on very different positions, on various roles, starting actually from the development side. So at the beginning he was a developer, and then he made a very conscious shift to quality, and he decided that he wants to move to quality and to work again on on ensuring the quality of the product, and making sure that the users, they have the perfect experience, because he personally thought that he would be able to make more impact from quality department on the end user experience, rather than just from the software development. So he shifted to quality, and he was going through different positions, and by the time he reached the level of QA lead, he realized that they don't have a tool that would allow them to merge the processes of the quality automation, of the quality assurance, and to ensure that the all this, as I would say, STLC, like a part of SDLC, is covered with a tool that provides the visibility. And also there was like this big problem that he had, of different silos. They were literally rowing in the different directions, and he decided that he will make his own tool, because he was a developer by trade. So he created the product, and that's how it started. Since 2019, the product was well tested on a local market, and since 2021, I would say, we are doing the global expansion, and we are now having a, I think, very well baked product. Though you know the whole industry is developing so fast, it's very important to keep up with the pace, because all these new frameworks are being updated, being released, and there are so many new tools that are emerging on the market, and we are one of those tools. So for us, it's really an exciting journey. And yeah, roughly the same time where we met and I joined the team, so I'm more on the like globalizing side of the team. Yeah.
Well, no, I like the fact, first of all, I love people when they move from development to quality, because because I did that in the past. Okay, so I was a developer and then I moved into testing. So I love these kind of people. And secondly, I think, in trying to address his problem of managing tests for a bank or a banking environment, what he has built is something which caters to a bigger audience than just a bank. So I think it is a great step. So love that. And having that said, there is a very interesting question that has come up. So Suresh is asking that, I'm curious to know about what makes TestGear a unique tool as compared to other tools available in the market. So when we look at the test management tools market, some of the names that come to our mind are X-Ray, TestRail, Zephyr, and so on and so forth. And everybody is looking to use them with integrating with tools like Jira or HPALM. And HPALM itself, does quite a bit of test management itself.
Absolutely,
So,
yes.
but setting it up is a nightmare. Configuration is another one. So, or integrations is a bit of a challenge when it comes to third party, or things like bulk uploads or bulk downloads are some of the common challenges that we have. And we have some of these challenges with regards to the existing market set that I mentioned. So coming back to Suresh's question, what is it that makes test gear so special?
Yeah, Suresh, first of all, thank you so much for that question. I think that throughout our talk, you will get more and more information on how we differ from our competitors. But long story short, first of all, we can divide the whole market into these two major approaches that we now see on the market. I would say that add-on plug-in approach that Zephyr and X-Ray is namely famous for, which provides you unprecedented scalability, and it's so easy to use those plugins to integrate them in your existing environment, and that provides you like this quick start. So obviously these products are great. On the other hand, on the opposite side of this spectrum, we have as Brijesh already said, ALM tools, which are difficult to configure, which are very powerful at the same time, but would require like just a separate engineer full time, maybe not even one engineer,
Yeah,
only
team.
doing configuration. Yes, the whole team, like this whole separate test ops, DevOps team to configure these tools. So standalone test management tools like TestGear or, for example, TestRail are somewhere in the middle. We provide more power and we provide more visibility throughout the whole process than just a plugin. With the test management system, you could have this you could provide this helicopter view for the top management. At the same time, it is very useful for test engineers, than just plugins to do their operations. It's like their standalone, I would say, tool that they could do all their testing efforts in one place. So this is another cool thing about it. And probably I would say that another cool thing about the standalone test management system, that's more on the managerial side. You don't have to buy add-on license for every Jira user when you have the test management tool. So you should just can have it for only for those people who are involved in the quality assurance process within the organization. So that's probably like a managerial benefit out of it. Comparing to other standalone test management systems is a bit tricky because we all do the same thing, but we have our own take on it. And throughout our talk, I hope that I will be able to address all of those.
Yes. So Suresh, stick around because we are going to go a little deeper into the conversation around test gear and explore some of the nice things test gear has to offer. That said, what are some of the basic, you know, standard features that you offer, and how does it compare to some of your other competitors in the market?
Okay, so as a tool, we do provide full coverage for, I would say, like I know that this term is debatable, but manual testers, and we could discuss that as well, because Brijesh, I know you have your own take on that, and full coverage for auto tests as well. Uh, the tool provides integration with the existing development environment. So, namely, if you use Jira for bug tracking, for you use like the Atlassian stack for requirements, we can integrate into those. If you have, for example, Microsoft using Microsoft Stack, we can integrate in Azure DevOps. And on the other side of this stack, we have CI/CDs that could be also easily integrated with our tool through the webhooks. So having those entities, different test entities, like tests in the library, um, um, auto tests on your repository running on your CI/CD, you could have all of those within one single window and launch and have all your test operations, including the planning, including the test, the execution and the review of execution, like reporting, uh, in one system. So basically, that's what TestGear is. A tool that allows you to provide, first of all, a very UI friendly test execution, test planning. Secondly, provide the visibility of the results. And thirdly, engage your engineers in it. So that's probably something that makes us unique. We are trying to make our platform very collaborative and very engaging as well.
Well, you mentioned some of the key aspects that I would look for
Hmm.
as a tester. Okay, and I'm glad that TestGear is solving those problems, making it a little more intuitive. Okay, now talking about other tools in the market, while they offer you scalability, while they offer you nice integration with, say, something like Jira or any other platform, one of the aspects which lacks is this intuitiveness, which I think is a USP with TestGear in my experience, with whatever I have seen and I've played around. Okay, I like the fact that users, when they think of something, there is a way of realizing it already, because you guys have thought it through and or are thinking about it already. So this intuitive nature, I think, is a big distinguishing factor between TestGear and its competitors. And I like the fact that you already have understood where you are positioned in the test management tools market. You're not a plugin only or an ALM only, or you're somewhere in between, where you are a little on this side as well, a little on that side as well. So you offer benefits, or the best of both worlds, if I may say so, to the users, where if they want to use it as a plugin, say for example, to a third party system such as Jira or the Atlassian stack, you could do that as well. Or if you want to use it as a full-fledged independent tool in your context, then you can do that as well. So this flexibility I really like. Now, having said that, um, we spoke about manual and automated tests. So I we were speaking just before this thing. There were a few curious questions in the test chat community yesterday when we were talking about this event, and somebody asked me, "Can I ask this question?" So, what is your take on the whole manual versus automated debate?
All right. So first of all, yes, we do have mentioned manual testing in our on our website and within our UI. At the same time, for me, it's just a term that allows, within our UI, it allows you to distinguish tests from auto tests to manual tests. But I think this debate is growing bigger and bigger. And there is one interesting thing that I'd like to ask the community, and we are strongly considering. So, what would be, and let me share the screen. I'll just show it to you. And seriously, we are considering like changing that, and I'm definitely encouraging the community to join this debate and to help us. So yeah, that's our UI, and it's always better to show it. It's always better to see it than to hear. So that's our UI, and within the projects, we have this menu here, and within this menu we have tests, and here you can see manual tests, test plans, configurations, test archive, and then you have auto tests. So if you are on the side that actually thinks that manual testing is a something like a term that we should get rid of, um, please advise us what should be the name then of this section here. That's There is one big question, because you know what, it should not exclude any other types of tests. Like if you just gonna say like exploratory or something, then you should consider that that should include all types of tests, because when you create a test here, and when that could be any test, because we are kind of workflow agnostic. So with those tests, that's a really interesting question. What should be the name here? Like personally, once again, I believe this is just a term, but it's become loaded, like emotionally loaded. And we definitely want to keep up with the community. And we are proud that like 50% of our features that we have released were given us by the market response, were given us by the clients or the prospective clients or just community members. So I'd be happy to hear from the community how we should rename it, if you think so that we should rename it here. And personally, I do believe that QA engineers, first of all, they are a highly skillful, highly qualified engineers, and that's the most important. So it doesn't matter how you deliver the task; it's just
Yeah,
a tool. So
that's
you could use different tools, but still you are an engineer. So that's probably the most important. So I see this debate growing, and I've seen that on LinkedIn. And actually, I'm going to do a post about it then. And I'm going to ask my audience as well how we should do it. And thanks for actually asking that. We were considering this, and let's say that out from this conversation, we have this official now.
yeah. So Swapna
I
has
like
just
I like this
suggested.
stance on the functional, but honestly speaking, once I had the conversation, we had this prospective client. Sorry, Brijesh, I'm just taking
Yeah,
this Swapna,
please, please.
uh, yeah, Swapna question from the comment section here, and she's just saying that how about functional test terms instead of manual tests? I love it, but there is one thing. Like not long ago, we had a company coming to us that were completely out of the domain. They were not doing the software testing. They were doing some other, because you know what? The QA is not only about software testing. QA, the term QA, there are people in, for example, um, uh, in uh, um, in many various different industries, they are also doing QA. And lately, we see a growing number of inquiries from these kind of people. So and I had this conversation with this prospective client, and they were actually thinking of implementing the tool for their industry, and they were going through the different and I would say non-functional domains. I don't think that it's just only about functional tests. There are certain number of non-functional tests that you could also create a test case about, and you can store here. So what we're going to do about them? I really don't want to create another section for that. So that's should I call it like functional and non-functional tests? I don't know.
Well, I have this thing about functional tests as well. A question about functional tests, and this is probably for Swapna. Um, Swapna, functional tests can be automated as well, right?
Exactly.
So if the functional tests are automated, then how are you going to classify them? So it's for
Yeah.
you to think and then come up with another acronym. I will, I have my views on this. Once you put a post out on LinkedIn, I will respond to that with my thoughts as to how what kind of alternate names or naming conventions you could have. Uh, but then that's we will park that for now and let the audience decide. Oh, curious test. That's another. That, that's a good one. So,
Yeah, I love it.
well, Well, Alpesh, I love it. Tomorrow I have another nice discussion on this channel. So tomorrow we are also going to talk about the various naming scheme that is going on, and the frustration it is bringing to a lot of testers who are traditional, who have been doing a lot of work in automation and scaling things. So very interesting thought. Vadim. At least you've thought about changing the naming convention, or at least allowing the community to participate, which I think is a good one. Here is another nice view coming from Param. Um, you know, and he has a question to it. So he's asking, automated tests means to automate functional, non-functional tests. So renaming manual test to functional test is not a good fit. Long ago, we have tests and scripts to segregate. What about that? So you could just keep it as tests and scripts, okay, as one
Yeah, one of the
suggestion.
option is just get rid of the word manual at all and just keep them as tests.
Yeah,
Moreover, because within our that would probably be um, the the easiest way to do it, because also within our system you can link different entities, like you can link within the test library, you can link manual tests to auto tests, and actually that makes sense, so we'll consider that. But actually I'd like to see more options like interactive testing from Monica.
yeah.
Yeah.
There are going to be some more, and. Here's one from Deep. Nice to see you, Deep, here. And
Yes.
here is Mr. Somebody who sparked this discussion and asked me if I can ask the question about manual or automation. So Rakesh was the one. Rakesh, nice to see you here, buddy. Uh, you can have a configurable property and people can name it. So this is another option.
And
Maybe you
that's a
could
great
explore.
option.
Yeah, and that is a good option, I think. But see, so the community is interested in helping you. We will look forward to your post, Vadim. I would want to move on and ask you the next question, and which I am very curious about. So you've spoken about some very nice things about TestGear. Now I'm curious on how does it integrate with other third party systems. For
Hmm.
example, for bug tracking, if I want to go to Jira or connect it with Jira, or if I am managing my tests in a CI/CD pipeline, then how would I integrate? So how easy is it for me to integrate test gear within the other tool set in the ecosystem
Hmm.
and in my pipeline?
Okay. um, First of all, we provide native integration with bug tracking systems like Jira and Microsoft Azure DevOps. So that would probably cover 80% of the use cases existing on the market. And correct me if I'm wrong, because we are at this stage. Uh, we do some requests for other bug tracking and task tracking system, I would say, because it's like the larger group of task tracking systems that some users are using for bug tracking as well. So we are now collecting more and more requests for different integrations, and we are working on it, like trying to prioritize this list. So that's another interesting input that we are waiting from the community, from our clients, prospective clients, existing clients, like what kind other.
I can give you one name right
Uh-huh.
up, because they are one of the teams or one of the companies who are sponsoring this talk, and that's Bagasura. So
Uh-huh.
Bagasura is also a bug tracking tool, which is quite impressive, by the way.
Hmm.
Uh, we've used it for our test chat events also for bug tracking, and the results have been awesome. People have been very happy. So Bagasura is one of the tools that maybe you could think about, which will cover, which will increase your market from 80 to, maybe 82 or 83% at least. It will give you another 3 to 4%, if not more. I would think it will be more, but but trying to be a little more conservative. So
That's definitely and something we need to explore. So if you could do me a favor and put me in touch with them, because it
I
always depends on how much how their API is working, and yeah,
sure.
that
Sure,
would be a
I think we can do that, and that is where again, a request to the community, folks. If you have, things like this in the market where you think that okay, there is a particular tool that is very important for your context. However, you need a test management tool like TestGear, and you can't leave your tool and you want to use TestGear also, and you want to integrate them both. Definitely, explore the option. Vadim is here. Talk to him. Okay, reach out and then get people connected, and that's where the community adds value.
Mhm.
That's how products grow. That's how we are solving each other's problems. That's how I look at it. I mean, I am not looking at just solving my problem. Something I really love to go back to the philosophy that you mentioned about your founder, where he was working to solve a problem for his context in the bank. However, you came in and you brought in the globalization perspective that, okay, if we could do this in the bank, then we could do this to solve problems with, the other industries as well. And that's where, uh, that's what test gear is trying to do now. So I think that's quite interesting. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's actually our philosophy. I would say that if we want to become the most adaptable test management system in the world, we have to be the most adaptable team that would definitely adapt to the challenges of the community of the prospective users. So I'm definitely very open to discuss all these kind of options. Obviously, when you are a leader of a software vendor, you have to consider the choices, because there are so many choices. And I'd like to talk a bit more about the integrations, because we just covered the small part, the task tracking, bug tracking.
yes,
um,
yes,
and there are so many other integrations that you have to do with the tool if you are trying to implement it within the existing production environment. um, so for example, we are now working heavily on increasing the coverage of auto test frameworks, because there are so many of them. We have more than 15 like native adapters published on our repository. And um, uh, we understood that it's probably too difficult to keep up with the pace of these adapters, but we are increasing the coverage of these native adapters to make sure that all your favorite auto tests are launching from our test management system. So we've decided that we need to create a CLI tool, and now we have a CLI tool that covers 38 auto test frameworks, including your favorite BDD frameworks, including Selenium, and actually just the number of 38 auto test frameworks. I believe that covers the 95% of the different auto tests use cases. Um, yeah, so that's another layer of integration. And obviously, to run those tests, you have to have integration with the CI/CD tools. And for those, we have like webhook integration that you could do from the UI. And that's talking about that actually helps a lot, because what we've seen from our experience with our clients is that and again, coming back to this subject of discussing the engineers, worst thing to happen is when management start to segregate people on different levels of engineers. So with our tool, we are trying to bridge this gap, to make it smaller by providing to all kind of QA engineers ability to launch auto tests, to get back the results from CI/CD, and to analyze those results. So that's why we have webhook integration with CI/CDs, and that's why you can link entities, different entities like manual tests and auto tests, as one test entity, and get the results on that. So yeah, and thanks so much, Param, for bringing up ClickUp, uh, Notion, and
It
Trello.
was.
I don't think that Notion and Trello is that much in this like software development, and it's probably when we are talking about software development, if that's an established team, they are already moving from Trello to Jira within the Atlassian ecosystem. So I would definitely considering ClickUp though as well.
So I want to talk about integration from another perspective
Uh-huh.
with you, Vadim. So we have seen the rise of a lot of low code, no code tools in the market today, and they are catering to certain contexts which they are solving the problems for. And it is growing, the market is growing, people are trying to solve more and more problems, and globalize their applications as well. For example, we had, if you just talk about tools like testing, which were specific to a certain context, but now they have broadened their context. Okay, I saw a comment here from Deep. Uh, Deep is building, he's built another nice platform called Context QA, which is, another platform for testers, which is great. Now, how about integration with these low code, no code tools? There are plenty out there. There are almost 80 plus that I have researched myself. So how can you do that? I mean, does the webhooks thing is it enough, or is do you have some other plans on that?
Uh, First of all, I'd like to start with that we had a within the QA domain, we had this low code much earlier than it actually hit the widespread adoption.
Yes.
We had BDD for ages, and there are some certain tools like maybe you know about that British Mavericks from Italy.
Yes.
Have you ever heard
Yes.
about them?
Yes.
So now we met them last year at Eurostar, and I hope this Eurostar. I've seen you are going to talk about talk there this year, and definitely I would love to meet you there in person. And I'd like to make some a small announcement here that this Eurostar we are going to present something together with Mavericks, and they are actually doing the. Sorry about this guy who is running in the background.
That's
Yeah,
fine.
people are like we are getting popular. People are crowding the room here now to see us. Yeah. So uh, this year on Eurostar, we are going to show something together with Mavericks because they are one of the pioneers of doing the low code automation of UI testing. Uh, and yes, it's going to be integrated with TestGear through the webhooks. So that's probably one of the ways how we can do it. So we are definitely up for some collaborations with the community to uh, to make sure that your tool could be run from test gear as a like what we are trying to achieve is to create a tool that would be able to integrate other tools, so QA engineers they won't need to go somewhere else to do what they're doing.
Excellent, excellent. And obviously I'm looking forward to Eurostar, not just from my talk perspective, but also it gives me an opportunity to meet a lot of people from the industry. I am looking forward to meeting you, a lot of other friends. There are friends who are joining from India as well. That's going to be exciting. This is going to be my second Eurostar. So really excited to talk about. I'm talking about leadership and testing, so promoting my talk. I'm talking about
Nothing bad
leadership and
about it.
testing, but uh, I want to take this opportunity of meeting people, and want to see this whole the talk that you're talking about, in association with Mavericks. how things work really well. I think it'll be a good thing for the community. I will be, you know, uh, there, so there will be good representation from the test chat community, because a lot of us in the community at Eurostar are also a part of the test chat community. So the community support will always be there. Okay, we will ask you questions like I'm asking you now. I'll be there to ask you questions personally. So, make it more interesting, make it more interactive. So, yeah, look forward to that. But that brings me to my next question for you, and it is around, you know, the flexibility to customize things according to my context and scalability. So, how does TestGear give me the flexibility of customizing based on my context? And how can I make it more scalable?
That's actually, yeah, a great question. Thank you. I actually thought about that when Rakesh asked his question, made his suggestion that, yeah, we could make a configurable property, because that's actually the way we approach adaptability. So with the customization and adaptability of the product, we have mainly like these three directions. First of all, you can set different parameters. Secondly, because sometimes the same test library is run on different configurations, we support different configurations, and you can make these different configurations within TestGear. And also you can create attributes, and you can create different attributes for almost any entity. So you can saturate your test library, your test plans, your just literally anything on the system with additional data, and adapt it to your workflow. So it would support whatever your process is. Would that be a black box? That be a white box? So you can have all those properties. You can have different queries. You can have different filters as well. And not long ago, we're also launching one thing called dynamic test suits that
Yeah.
would allow you to configure those test suits on a dynamic way, and yeah, save a lot of time within your workflow. So that's what we are actually doing. Again, as always, I'd love to see the more input from the community and to criticize us on the approach that we are employing. And yeah, definitely more than welcome to we love to set up the demo if there is a particular interest, and to show the product, and to get the critique back from you, because I know that within this community, test chat community, we have a lot of very experienced QA people here. So would love to hear back from you and to see how do you like that, and maybe how we could change it.
And since you have invited criticism, Rakesh has already offered to reach out to you in case they report, they want to report issues on your website or product. Because, now that people are getting to learn about test gear, I can guarantee you that people will get their hands dirty. They will start playing around. They will start testing test gear before they use it for their purpose. And you will see some interesting takes, some interesting suggestions, some interesting questions, some interesting bugs that they will obviously be finding. So, do you have sort of a email contact or somewhere people can reach out in case they
Absolutely.
have?
So, in case you do have an issue to report, we have a help center. Um, we're trying to maintain very good SLA on the help center. So we have like 95% of achievement of SLA, and that means that we will be doing our best to answer you on the same working day with that issue you report. Um, if you have but again, we are still at the stage where though the product is well developed, and we had an experience of actually rolling it out on up to 20,000 users as an on-prem solution for the bank industry. We are still at the stage where, and I hope we'll stay as long as possible on that stage, where we are very open to the community. So again, if you want to go through the product, first of all, you can get your free trial on our website. There is a free trial option, and secondly, we can jump on a demo, and our solution experts, who are essentially a part of a product team, would be happy to go through the product. And if you have criticism on the product on the spot, would be happy to get the requirement from you. And if that requirement would gain enough weight, we will definitely implement it. So it just takes time. We have a roadmap now. We understand that I'm not saying that we will do it on the spot and we will deliver it next quarter. No, we now have the roadmap that extends up to 3 quarters from now. So we have a lot of things to do. Not only on the development side, but on the like compliance side, on the marketing side, a lot of things to do. But definitely, the more we hear from you, the better the product is.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. Yeah, I think you will hear a lot of stuff through the help center. Maybe some new feature requests as well, some enhancements as well would come your way, and that brings me to my next question. So when we are talking about testing, and we often say that testing is not a siloed activity, and we need a lot of collaboration with developers, with business analysts, or within the testing group as well, within the team itself. We need collaboration. So how does test gear support the idea of collaboration? And and speaking about collaboration, how do I, as a tester, control or have a control on the access to my set of tests that nobody else whom I'm collaborating with steps over and make some changes in what I have done? So can you
Hmm.
throw some light?
Hmm. I can't help but to share the screen again. So
Yes.
just a second, because this again, this is something that is better to show. Uh, so again, we are in test gear now, and you see this. That's the test case library. And when you are talking about collaboration, as I said in the very beginning of our session, um, that was one of the cornerstones for the founding team, for for the whole development team, to create a tool that is not just a useful, a user friendly, a powerful tool that uh, makes you um, that allows you to bring all these like auto test plans, execution in one place. But also because our founder personally, he had this experience of having different silos working under his command, and literally rowing in different directions and doing different things and not communicating to each other. He thought that probably that's one of the most important things that he needs to solve. So from the very beginning of our product, we were thinking about collaboration, and we were thinking about how to make collaboration a process that would be easy, and at the same time that would be effective. So that's why on any of the test cases that you have within the system, any engineer could write here, for example, any comment. So we have this, I would say, in-app chat, these comments for test cases, where he can, yeah, ask for example, to one engineer can ask another engineer to provide any artifact or whatever, or just mention him somehow, or assign the task on him. And when we have when he does so, whenever another engineer is going into the platform, he has this bell here, and he can view all. And we have this communication center here, where you not only see those mentions, because they could pile up, but you could actually filter them, and you can select the type of the filter. So you could select those messages where you are selected, the way you are mentioned. You could select those test cases where you are assigned to. Or for example, when we are talking about the managerial level, you sometimes you have a locked test plan when, for example, regression is in progress. And then you, for example, someone could mention you and requests to unlock the test plan. So we have all those kinds of filters here. um, uh, Also you can filter out by status and the date. And yes, so that's how we are approaching the in-app messaging. So it should be linked to the entity, and that's how you provide the immediate result. Because from this communication center, you could go through the to the test case directly and do whatever is required there. So we believe that this is like a very useful workflow. And also you mentioned like how do we segregate the roles within the project. That's another interesting question. So as an administrator, you could set and again, coming back to this workflow customization, uh, when you have a team of 5 people, it's pretty easy to assign the roles. But when you have a team of 1,000 people, and we had those kind of clients, and we had this experience in the past, and we are happy that our product could be adopted on these different scales, like from the smallest scale to the highest scale. Obviously, when you have less than 5 people, just one QA tester, you could use the most favorite QA tool, Microsoft Excel. But when you have a team of 5 already, that's the right moment to start thinking about implementing test management system. So uh, on the very basic level, you could have just the very basic role, for example, one administrator and all other people, like who is at the same time is a test manager and who is at the same time the project manager. But when you have different projects, when you have couple of thousand of QA engineers within your team, you definitely need to divide those roles, not on just on the system level, but also on the project level. So that's why we have project roles. And you could be on that on a different project. You could be at the same time like a project admin. On another project, you could be a test manager or a test designer. And you see here it's very flexible, so you can set all these roles. And yes, probably that's how we uh, approach the flexibility and customization in terms of the role model. Yeah, and one more thing that while we are here on the collaboration part, that I also want to show to you and to our audience, and because we had this question about how we differ from all other test management system in the world, there is one thing that is definitely is unique about us. We are the only one test management system with gamification.
Uh,
Yes, and we are we are working on it. We see that a lot of people is using that, and that helps to increase the engagement of engineers. We have a gamification model where you can um, travel from a curious chick to a mighty dragon. And now I'm using the Tony's account, who is one of our solution experts, and he's here in the chat. Hi, Tony. And I see that he is now is a smart crab. Uh, yes, because he passed that many 186 test points. And test point, we calculate test points as a test cases multiplied by the number of configurations that he was doing. And he has created, let me see, 57 tests, and he has failed 52 test points. Tony, you have to think about it. Yeah, and he's 647 days with TestGear. I think that's a record now. And he has just only 9 profile likes, so probably yeah, we need to give him more likes. So yeah, that's something special about our platform. We are really proud of it. We think that it helps a lot in terms of getting QA engineers more engaged, and just not just work, but have some fun with QA, because we truly believe that QA is a fun subject.
Well, this is quite interesting, and this is exactly what I was, hesitating to talk about. But I did mention, you've already thought about things, and you made it very intuitive. This is what I meant. I did not want to disclose myself. I wanted you to show it, because when looking at test gear, I found this the gamification idea to be very unique. But having said that, I want to go to a more philosophical question for the moment. Okay, when we talk about agile development and the speed of delivery, things like test plan, test strategy, somewhere people are talking less and less about. And that brings me to one of the questions that Swapna had asked long back, but I wanted to wait to ask this question a bit. Swapna was asking, in the world, in this agile world, I see that test plan, test strategy is phasing out as management is eager to release. So their focus is on release. Okay, how do we bring these into action? And how does test gear help change the mindset that, okay, with your product, it is important to understand how the product was tested and how these tests were managed. Okay, so from a test management perspective, or from a test management tool perspective, how would you answer this question?
Yeah, thank you, Swapna, for this question. This is really a difficult one, because from and I explain why. Because from one side, we are marketing our tool as a tool that helps to decrease the release time and release faster. On the other hand, since we are a tool that was created by QA engineers, and having this approach, like human approach, in mind, with all those different like small things that help you create test cases faster, that engage you in the work, and making it more fun, we should not forget about like these important things of ensuring the intrinsic quality of software. And it's not about test points, it's exactly about like making the strategy right from the first day. So since we are, as I said, a workflow agnostic tool, we do not dictate anything on that level. So still, and that's coming to the very first question on AI. That's definitely not something that AI could do at the moment. Is to, okay, maybe AI would be able to help you write the auto test, but I haven't seen the AI that could make a sound test strategy. So at the moment, we don't have any answer to this, but we are thinking about it, and we were thinking about actually implementing some tools, and that's not even on the roadmap. That's something we are thinking, like a long-term development plans and goals of actually developing some additional modules where you could even to go things like brain writing and mind mapping tests, like do things like that, and somehow get it to the like link these exercises with the actual test library, with the actual UI of the system. So we are considering that. We are thinking about that whenever we have free time. Uh, but again, that's a very good question that I don't have a direct answer for.
I want to add to Swapna's question, or rather bring in my thoughts about it. And I think when we are talking about agile, uh, uh, or faster development, faster time to market, we are also thinking about saving a lot of time in terms of test cases, writing them down, writing smaller test plans. So, and I have been an advocate of not writing test cases myself. You know it, Vadim, don't you? You did read my article about it. So the point is, if I were to give more flexibility to my users, uh, I would think that my test management tool, because it talks about test management and not test case management. Okay, so when we talk about test management, I would like to see in the tool something like, okay, somewhere I could store my test ideas, you know, somewhere, just a moment, there was a pop-up. Yeah, somewhere I could store my test ideas, whether it is in the form of a mind map or building blocks or anything. Okay, so if that flexibility is added to the tool, I think it'll take it to the next level. Okay, it's not just test cases, but maybe test ideas as well. I'm not saying that, okay, get rid of the test cases concept. No, people need it. There is a need, especially if there is a highly regulated industry, for example fintech, or for example healthcare. If you are testing something like a pacemaker and you're testing a software for that, then obviously you need it. You need the step by step test cases. You need that level of detail. You need that um, complete workflow, the entire procedure to be documented and to be tested that way. So you will need something like this. But at the same time, if you are testing something like Facebook, okay, which is I don't know if it has been tested, but because of the number of bugs there, or LinkedIn, which has never been tested, I can tell you that. And I have this joke, so in other products, we look for bugs as testers. On LinkedIn, we look for working functionality because there are only bugs. so, so,
Yeah, so
so
true.
yeah, because there are so many bugs. So you think, oh, this works. Oh my God, this is so nice. Well,
That's why. That's exactly why LinkedIn has no integrations. They've
yeah,
tried.
no, and I was trying to do some experiment, okay, some analytics around my posts and impressions, and I found it so difficult to get access to the API layer that I just gave it up. I was like, you have it so closed. I understand that why they want to have it closed. Okay, but if I compare it with Twitter, Twitter is much easier. Okay,
Mhm.
with the open APIs and stuff. But so I stopped experimenting. I said, okay, let it be. Let it remain. I'm not going to play around much. But anyways, that brings me to an interesting question from Param, and Param is asking how TestGear adopts to the other side, say smaller companies with one or two Scrum teams with overlapping roles such as project managers, business analysts, test managers, Scrum masters. So you speak about the enterprise thing where there are
Mhm.
bigger companies, bigger teams. Now,
Mhm.
what about the smaller spectrum? Is what Param is asking.
Okay, that's so first of all, you don't have to create a complex administrative model, role model to use test gear. So it's an option, not a must. You could have very simple model. At the same time, you could set up those as I just let me share the screen for a second again.
Yep.
Yeah.
I have one small comment though. I like the screen. It is simple. It is very clean. It
Thank
is
you.
it is kind of not cluttered as some of the other test management tools are. I don't want to name, but I have seen a lot of clutter in some of the other tools. So I like it.
Thank,
This is my
thanks,
from a,
Brijesh.
from a personal perspective. Yes.
Thank you.
So the
So
UI is good. If there is a question on the UI, well, here it is.
though it requires the quite big screen, I'd say. So but we know that good engineers should have good screens. Yeah.
Yes.
uh, 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 so coming back to the question, we have different roles, and we could set like this role model could be adapted to any workflow, so you don't have to make it difficult. You could literally, and I hope that we will be able to revert this action back. Surely Yeah, we will be able to revert this action back. No, actually, I'll cancel it. But anyway, you can delete any role if you don't need it. You can name your own roles. They could be like overlapping roles. For example, it could be a not just a project admin, but that could be a scrum master. And you could set this for the scrum master. You could set the different access roles here, so it would definitely adapt to your workflow, and you just have to come up with the workflow. Um, but coming to the core of this question, it was more about how we do adapt to those processes within the smaller teams. And I
Yeah,
think it should not be a talk about the role model. It should be a talk about the functionality, because we do have something to offer to those teams as well. And coming back to your comment, Brijesh, on not writing test cases, we have something that is called checklists. So if you don't want to write test cases, you don't have to in TestGear. You can create a checklist, and then you just add steps. You don't have any prerequisites, post requisites. You just have steps. So easy as that. At the same time, we don't want to sacrifice such a great thing as parameterization, because
yeah,
that allows you to reuse those checklists and create like cover multiple uh, test cases, I'd say, but it's not
absolutely.
test cases, but yeah, cases for testing with the parameters. So yeah, you can create parameters for the test cases, for checklists, and after that, when you are at the stage, so you are in an agile environment, you want to make things fast. So you create checklist and you run your tests with the checklist. But at the same time, when your process becomes established, you could convert this checklist into a fully fledged test case and have a test case. Moreover, what is really important in agile environment is that we reuse the knowledge that we create. That's why we have the shared step. And actually, we had it even before it was introduced on test trail. So I believe they copied it from us. So we have shared steps. So you could create a shared step that would be actually, let me find the shared step here. Filter. That should be type shared step, apply. So you could create a shared step, for example, and then you can use it as a building block, as you said, as a building block for a test case. So, for example, if you use this part like login, authorize as literally first three steps of every test case that you create, you could create a shared step out of it and use it. So that's how we approach agile, saving time on creating test cases through the checklists, saving time on reusing test cases through shared steps. So that's something that we have to address the needs of agile environment. And it's because I really believe it's not about the role model. You won't even have the time to create the role model. In agile environment sometimes. So I hope that answers your questions, Param.
Yeah, while you are on the screen, I will ask you my next question because
Uh
you've
huh.
already shared it, so maybe it's quite helpful. I am curious to know, and I'm sure the audience as well is curious to know about what kind of reporting and metrics does TestGear offer? Because
Okay.
as a stakeholder, if I want to get a helicopter view, or as a test manager, or as a test lead, if I want to look at stuff,
Mm-hmm.
how do I do that?
Mm-hmm. So obviously, it depends on the role. So if you are on the test manager level that runs, for example, a regression testing or sanity testing, so it's for you. For you, it is really important to plan and control the execution. So first of all, just before we move to on to reporting, there is one thing I have to talk about. We For planning stage, we have something that saves a lot of time for test managers. So sometimes we see cases where a test manager spends three up to 3 days or even more just on planning the test plan, and on the assigning the tasks, on on assigning the test cases among the engineers. We just wanted to make sure that they don't spend time on that. So we, at the moment, we have this assign automatically function here. Um, you just press the button, and then all the test cases among all the configurations are assigned automatically. And obviously, you will ask how we are doing that. And it's not just simple. Division of test cases among all the engineers. Um, we have this parameter. It's called the expected time of test completion. So according to this expected time, all the test cases are assigned among the engineers. So we're trying to evenly distribute the workload. So I think this is pretty cool. And coming back to the execution and reports, so that's how you can see the report on the test plan level. You can print this report, you can create a PDF out of it. You can see the how the team performed as well. You could see what bugs were found. uh, yeah, you could see how your auto tests that are, because we really believe that the work should not be done in silos. A test plan should be a test plan where all your engineers work together hand in hand. So that's why we have results for the test plan, both for manual testing. Sorry for naming this manual again. We will discuss it later on, and for automated tests. And you have these results on the test plan level. When we are talking about the helicopter view, that's a totally different story. So let me go back. We have report section. So within those reports, you are more concentrating already on different kind of metrics, not on the individual performance, though you could actually be worried about the individual performance as well. But you are already talking about trends, like where are we going to, what's going to happen, are we going to be on time with our release, and other questions like this. So we have it in a more first of all customizable way, because we big fans of customization. So you could create your own widget, and there are like a number of ways to do it. You could change your the view representation. uh, you could, for example, see this trend on automation, like how many tests do you have automated so far, and increase the coverage. And yeah, you could group all those tests done, like that's a purely helicopter view, like group all the tests,
Yeah.
see whether they have passed, whether they have not passed. Yeah, and they see the different test plan results here. And again, coming back to the team performance, for like uh, people who are in charge of QA operations, on development operations, this is also an important information. So yes, we have all sorts of different you see different views that you can apply on your test data. So that's how we approach, and I hope that answers your question.
It does. It does. And I think, I love the fact that you've not only taken care of the helicopter view, but also given insight to the testers themselves, given them the power to look at the numbers and then fine tune their testing based on the numbers that are there in the system. Having said that, from a learning perspective, if I want to learn the use or if I need support on the tool, how do you do that? What is the learning curve? If I want to learn about test gear, how much time do you think I will need to learn about test gear from scratch?
It depends where you are at the moment. So saying that, I mean, like if you had experience with uh, standalone test management systems, that would be a piece of cake for you, because essentially we're doing the same thing but with different ways. If you were using just Jira plus plugin environment and you are used to it, uh, the learning curve is not that difficult, but uh, mm, there, it would take some time to adapt yourself to a new system. If you are talking a like Excel level, uh, the journey would be even longer, but at the same time, so much more exciting, because there would be so many things that you are going to automate, that you are going to like taking care of, and that you are not going to lose again. Because you know what just happened before that, like I was using Microsoft Excel not for QA purposes, but I was using it, and at some point I've saved the file and I've realized that I overwrite my previous file. So version control sometimes, and that was a local file. Some usually I'm doing that on Teams on Office 365, but that time it was a local file. So yeah, saying that, things happen. Overwriting the file could be a disaster, or sometimes, for example, when you're using Microsoft Excel, different people sending you the same file, and that could happen with you in the QA as well.
Yes.
And saying that, would be like a version madness. Yeah. So version control is another thing that we took care of, by the way. We have quite advanced version control system. uh, yeah. So the learning curve from Microsoft Excel would be a bit more difficult but exciting.
All of this said, I mean, this is all really exciting. One of the things that I would be curious about, or if I am the one who is asking to adopt, or if my management is asking me to adopt a new test management system, and I'm looking at TestGear, one of the things that would worry people is about security of their data. Okay, how secure is the data with TestGear?
That's a great question, because there is a simple answer, and it's called, if you're using our SaaS version, software as a service version, our cloud version, you have nothing to worry about, because it's Microsoft Azure, and literally they comply with any standard in the world. And from the application perspective, we do regular penetration tests, and right now we are undergoing a penetration test at the moment. So from the application perspective, we are working on that. We are at the moment undergoing the ISO 27001 compliance and audit, and I hope that it's a long process, and it's more on the paper side rather than the development side. So for us, as for like agile software developers, it's really something really difficult to do. But we're doing that. Um, so definitely we are, and since, so like saying that we had experience of implementation within the banking industry, and that's where we actually started from. um, this industry is probably is the hardest in terms of the standards, but since we are from this industry, we have dealt with that, and I think we can. It's safe to say that your data is secure. Obviously, there is always a risk in our world, like even for Microsoft Azure servers to collapse, to data to be breached, their um, databases. But we so far we have passed compliance requests of many customers already. It was not easy, but we did it. So safe to say that we are compliant with the strictest regulations. We we have our data secure and securely stored in Microsoft Azure. We are, by the way, we are backed by Microsoft Founders Hub, so
Nice.
that's something that they really help us a lot. They help us in terms of like they providing architectural advice, optimization advice, and really helpful people. And soon we will be launching on Microsoft's app marketplace, so that would be another option to buy the product. um, yeah, so I think I've said enough, because the more I say, the more
I
with
yeah,
the
I would want
security.
people to I
Yeah,
would want people to go and explore.
yeah.
Having said that, there is this question that is coming from Alpesh, and
Mm,
he's asking while test execution, one of the important tasks is to do screenshot on each test case. Screen
yeah,
shooting is one of the important aspects. Does
abs-
TestGear provide any functionality for screen shooting? Other tools
absolutely.
have got complex procedures to do, and it takes a lot of time.
Yep.
So,
So literally any type of attachment could be attached to test gear, to test case. And once again, I still have this screen. Yeah, just let me share the screen. So I still have this. We are still at the same shared step that I was showing a couple of minutes ago. So we have an image here. So this image could be an image, or could be any type of like sound attachment. Uh, I I might be wrong, and probably our solution experts have to confirm. But oh, actually, it's written here on the screen. Anything up to 1 GB could be uploaded here. Yeah, as an
so a
attachment.
question.
If
I think if I
if
understand, sorry, go ahead.
yeah, if it is because we sometimes we cater, for example, game dev companies, and they don't have just screenshots, they have gifs or videos, and we have it could be played from the UI. And I'll try to find one of the test cases that we have here with the video. So that's even more than just an let me okay, I think I know what should be here for game dev. Uh, yeah, player choice. No, that's a player choice. That's a shared step. Uh, anyway, so video could be also played from the UI. So saying that, I think that's enough. You should either trust me or test it.
No, Vadim,
Yeah.
I just want uh, to interpret, or rather,
Uh-huh.
the way I interpret Alpesh's question is from within a test gear.
Hmm.
Is there a mechanism of taking? So if I'm executing a test uh, from test gear, okay,
Hmm.
is there a way to take a screenshot from within the app rather than
Oh,
externally
yeah.
taking
So,
a screenshot and adding it to this?
uh,
From
yeah,
within
absolutely.
the test gear platform, is there a way of taking a screenshot?
Up,
Is
up,
what he's asking.
yeah. So we're not restricting any screenshots. Oh, you mean like the special button in UI that allows you to take the screenshot?
Yeah,
We don't have such a button in UI. We so
maybe a future use case, maybe depending
uh,
on how the community responds. Maybe this can be something that you might want to consider down the line, or uh, depends.
well, depends on we have not seen that many requests for
Yes,
that. Actually, that's
yes,
the first time.
exactly.
Because like for me, I'm a Mac user. It's actually quite easy. Just couple of buttons and you have a screenshot, and you can yeah, you can store it, you can move it to the buffer, and then you can attach it to, for example, back to the test case.
Yeah, it's exactly what Alpesh. I tried to clarify your question, but
Yes, Alpesh. Alpesh,
it's
actually, I'm really curious to find out what is the workflow where you're using that, so we could consider that as an option. So we
yeah.
can we can. take it on a separate discussion, and yeah, we'll see the product team and ask them what we can do about that.
Yeah, it's a very interesting use case, Alpesh. Maybe it calls for a more collaborative discussion, so we can discuss with Vadim or his team for further help on this one. Maybe this is an idea for a new feature. I'm just thinking out loud.
Hmm.
Okay, it depends on of course how many users are requesting this. Maybe the community can come up and suggest things like that. But having said that, I think we have just hit the top of the hour again here, and we've been talking for a long time. I think we can go on for a long time, but in the
Absolutely.
best interest, but in the best interest of time, we will have to close this for now. We can, of course, based on the questions that you have as audience, can reconvene, and we can have more discussions with Vadim and his team. And already, I'm having discussions with Vadim's team on having a webinar where we could talk more about test gear and its features from a technical perspective. So if you have any specific feature related questions, if you want to deep dive into the features technically and see how it can help you or solve your use case, or you could have your teams, your bosses, if they can come and attend those and can take decisions if they want, if they are looking for solutions on test management, then of course they can come to those webinars, attend those, see how it is going to fit their business context and solve their problems, thereby having more discussions with Vadim and his team. So you can definitely do that. We are still working out the dates. We will announce something soon. So there is a lot more to follow on TestGear on the Test Chat YouTube channel. I want to thank you, Vadim, for patiently taking all the questions, for the wonderful discussions, for sharing some of the very interesting features I have been very curious about. Like I said, I mean, I have been trying to get my hands dirty, trying to play around, fiddle around. I'm liking what I'm seeing. Okay, I really like the UI. I know that a lot of work has been done pretty recently to make it even more interesting. I love the gamification part of it. I think that's very interesting. It creates that extra excitement for testers. That work should not be very boring. It should be more rewarding. So that's excellent, and I am really thankful to you for understanding the discussion around manual testing and actually bringing it out to the community. So I'm looking forward to your post. Uh, you know, some people may think that, oh, this guy seems to be stuck on that word, but we discussed that it is not just about the word, but there's a lot more to it. You already saw, how the community started responding. So you will get more suggestions. We can have more discussions. Uh, moving away from a business perspective, I think there is a lot of value that a product like Test Gear brings into my entire test effort. Okay, we have things at one place. It caters to the need of stakeholders at all levels, whether it is the CXOs or the leadership team, or say the management team or the testers or the business analysts. Everybody has something to take away from test gear. They will get their view, which I love about this. And I like how you positioned the tool as not on any extreme, like for example based on plugins or an out and out uh, you know ALM
Islands.
solution. You've positioned yourself right in the middle, trying to get the best of both worlds, and giving your users the flexibility. So, that said, I want to once again thank you for your time, Vadim. Uh, I want to thank your team for the support to the lead up to this AMA. We are looking forward to more interactions. The community seems pretty excited. You will get feedback, like you've said. Your health center is going to get a little busy now because people are going to come to your health center. Test gear as a product is going to be tested and explored more as more and more people become more aware and start adopting test gear. So, looking forward to the future conversations, and I am really, really excited to see you at Eurostar later this year.
Thank you so much, Brijesh. The pleasure was mine, and big thanks to the audience and your amazing questions. I'm definitely looking forward to hear your feedback. We are living to the motto that we are the most adaptable test management system in the world. So we would love to adapt to your feedback. So the more feedback we will have, the better. Thank you so much, and once again, it was a pleasure.
Thank you so much. Thank you to the audience. If you've not tried your hands on test gear yet, go out there. There is a free, trial version available. Get your hands dirty, play around with it. Vadim's team is very responsive. Get in touch with them, ask your questions, ask your leadership team to explore and get ideas, and I'm sure they'll be able to find a solution with test gear. On that note, thank you. Enjoy the rest of your day wherever you are, and we'll see you around for the next one. Bye bye.
Bye.